welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
So today, we're diving into a topic that's super important for anyone planning for retirement: how Social Security credits work.
Yeah, it's a crucial piece of the puzzle, right? Understanding how these credits accumulate can really impact your retirement income.
Exactly. And it can feel a bit confusing, but it doesn't have to be. We'll break it down step by step.
We'll also touch on how those credits affect your benefits, what you need to know about qualifying, and some strategies to maximize what you can get from Social Security.
And let's not forget, we'll share some common misconceptions and tips for planning your retirement around these credits.
Right. Because the more informed you are, the better decisions you can make as you approach retirement.
So, whether you're just starting to think about retirement or you're already enjoying that chapter of your life, there's something here for you.
Let's get into it, starting with what Social Security credits actually are and how they're earned.
Sounds good. So, Social Security credits, how do they work exactly?
You know, Emily, what's really interesting is that right now, many folks are feeling the pressure when it comes to retirement planning. I mean, with all the economic changes and inflation creeping up, it's making everyone reevaluate their timelines.
Absolutely, David. I've talked to so many people lately who are worried about whether their Social Security benefits will even be enough, especially with rising costs everywhere. It's like, how do you plan for that kind of uncertainty?
Yeah, and that's where understanding Social Security credits becomes crucial. They're the building blocks for your benefits. And right now, with market volatility, people need every advantage they can get. If someone's counting on Social Security as a significant part of their retirement income, they really have to be aware of how those credits work.
Exactly. I remember speaking with a woman named Linda, who was getting close to retirement. She had put in the time, but when she learned about how many credits she actually needed, it was a bit of a wake-up call. She realized she might not have enough to maximize her benefits. It was stressful for her.
That's a great example. And you know, the emotional side of financial security can't be understated. If someone feels like they're not prepared, it can really weigh on them, right? The thought of not having enough to cover healthcare costs or daily expenses can be daunting.
For sure. And healthcare is such a big part of it. I mean, costs just keep rising, and many retirees aren't fully accounting for that in their plans. They might think, oh, I'll manage, but then find themselves in a tough spot later on.
Exactly. I had an individual. We'll call him Tom. He was underestimating his healthcare expenses and didn't factor in the potential need for long-term care. When he realized how much that could impact his Social Security income, it really hit home.
Right. So planning for those unexpected expenses can really change the game. Plus, with changes to Social Security itself, like potential adjustments in benefit calculations or eligibility rules, it's essential to stay informed.
Definitely. And let's not forget about the tax implications. With tax efficiency being so important, especially as people start to tap into their retirement accounts, they really should be considering how their Social Security benefits fit into that larger picture.
Yeah, I can see how it might feel overwhelming, but it's all about taking it step by step, right? Like, you can't do everything at once, but understanding where Social Security fits in can ease some of that anxiety.
Exactly. And so many people think they can just glide into retirement without a plan. But the reality is, a solid strategy is more crucial than ever. And if you don't have a plan, you might miss out on benefits you could have earned.
Absolutely. And the legacy planning aspect is huge too. I mean, many people want to leave something behind for their kids or grandkids, and understanding how Social Security plays into that can really help.
Right. If someone knows how to maximize their benefits, they can potentially increase what they leave behind, which is a comforting thought. Plus, it can be a way to support family in ways that are meaningful.
Exactly. I think it gives people peace of mind, knowing they can help their loved ones while also securing their own financial future. And with everything that's been going on in the economy, you can really see how that emotional security plays a big role.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and it can be intimidating. But when people take proactive steps, like understanding their Social Security credits, it can really empower them. It's almost like taking control of their retirement destiny.
Yes! And I think that's what so many people are looking for. Control. They don't want to feel like they're at the mercy of the market or rising inflation. They want to have a plan that works for them.
Right. And honestly, the more informed you are, the more confident you'll feel about your decisions. It's not just about the numbers. It's about building a life that feels secure and fulfilling.
Well said. It's about creating a foundation where you can enjoy those retirement years without the constant worry about finances.
And, every situation is unique. What works for one person might not work for another, so it's really important to tailor strategies to individual circumstances.
Yes, and that's where working with a professional can really help. Someone who can guide you through those personalized strategies and ensure you're on the right track.
Exactly. So with all of this in mind, it's clear that diving deeper into understanding Social Security credits and how they affect your overall retirement plan is a must.
Yeah, and from there, we can explore some core strategies that can help people navigate this landscape effectively. Let's get into that.
So let's dive into the core strategies and rules of thumb when it comes to Social Security credits, Emily. It's really crucial for anyone planning for retirement to understand how these work, right?
Absolutely, David. I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of Social Security in their overall retirement strategy. It's like one of the cornerstones, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. So first off, let's clarify what Social Security credits are. You earn credits based on your work history, and you meet a certain number to qualify for benefits. In 2023, you get 1 credit for every $1.640 you earn, and you can earn a maximum of 4 credits per year.
Right, so that's a total of about $6.560 to get those 4 credits. And you need 40 credits, which usually means about 10 years of work, to qualify for retirement benefits.
That's correct. And it's important to note that while you need those 40 credits to get the benefits, the amount you receive can vary based on your earnings over your working life. It's calculated using your highest 35 years of earnings, right?
Yeah, that makes a big difference. If someone has a few years with lower income, it could really impact their benefit amount. That's why maximizing your income during those peak earning years is so crucial.
Exactly. And that's where strategies come into play. So if you're planning your retirement, it might be wise to consider how much you're earning and whether you're close to that 35-year mark. It's worth it to boost your earnings if you can, even just a little bit.
For sure. And another thing to think about is the age at which you choose to start claiming benefits. You can start as early as 62, but your benefits will be reduced if you take them early, right?
Yes, and that reduction can be significant. If you claim at 62, your benefit could be reduced by up to 30%. Compared to waiting until your full retirement age, which is typically around 66 or 67, depending on when you were born.
I know a lot of folks get anxious about starting Social Security early because they want to take advantage of it while they can, but like you said, waiting can really pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. And if you can hold off until age 70, you can receive delayed retirement credits, which increase your benefit by about 8% for each year you delay past your full retirement age. That's a pretty nice boost.
It really is, and let's talk about how this all fits into a broader retirement plan. For instance, if you have a solid portfolio with stocks, bonds, and maybe some real estate, it can allow you to delay Social Security, which helps maximize your benefits.
Great point. A common rule of thumb for asset allocation is the 70-30th rule. 70% stocks and 30% bonds, for example, especially for younger retirees. That can provide growth while still having some stability.
And speaking of growth, what about tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs? Those can really help in building a nest egg for retirement while minimizing tax impact, right?
Exactly. For 2023, you can contribute up to $22,500 to a 401k if you're under 50, and $30,000 if you're over 50. That's a great way to save, especially if your employer matches contributions.
And with IRAs, you have traditional and Roth options. With a traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction now, but you'll pay taxes when you withdraw. With a Roth, you pay taxes up front, but your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. It's all about figuring out what works best for your situation.
Well said. And don't forget about the 4% rule for withdrawals. It's a guideline that suggests you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without running out of money. So, if you have $1 million saved, that's about $40,000 a year.
Right, but it's important to remember that this is just a guideline. Depending on market performance and personal expenses, you might need to adjust that percentage.
Yes, and that's where strategies like the bucket strategy come in. You can divide your investments into buckets based on when you'll need the money. For example, keep enough cash for the first few years of retirement in a safe bucket, and then have growth investments for the longer term.
That's such a smart approach. It allows you to weather market fluctuations without being forced to sell off assets at a loss. And then there's asset allocation, keeping a diverse mix of investments to mitigate risk.
Exactly, and diversification is key. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so a mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, and maybe even some annuities can help balance your portfolio and provide stability throughout retirement.
And tax savings techniques can't be overlooked either. For example, tax loss harvesting can help offset gains, and being strategic about when you withdraw from your tax-advantaged accounts can also minimize your tax impact.
That's so important, especially as you approach required minimum distributions, or RMDs, which kick in at age 73. You need to start withdrawing a certain percentage from your tax-deferred accounts, which can affect your tax bracket.
Exactly. So the earlier you start planning, the better off you'll be. It's about building a comprehensive strategy that takes all these elements into account. Social Security, withdrawal strategies, asset allocation.
Right, and being aware of common pitfalls can make a big difference. Many people don't fully understand how Social Security works, or underestimate their longevity risk, which can put a strain on their retirement funds.
Yes, and that's something we'll definitely want to explore further in our next section, David. It's all about ensuring that our listeners are well-informed and equipped to navigate their retirement planning effectively.
Looking forward to that, Emily. It's so critical to avoid those pitfalls as we help people prepare for a secure and fulfilling retirement. You know, Emily, one of the biggest pitfalls I see with retirement planning is the sequence of returns risk. It can really catch people off guard.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of folks assume that as long as they have a certain amount saved, they'll be fine. But when the market takes a dip right after they retire, it can really mess with their plans.
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him Tom. He was set to retire in 2008, right before the financial crisis hit. He had a solid nest egg, but when he started withdrawing funds during that downturn, he ended up having to adjust his lifestyle significantly.
That's tough. So what do you suggest to avoid that kind of situation?
Well, one strategy is to have a diversified portfolio and, ideally, keep a cash reserve for those early retirement years. That way, if the market dips, you're not forced to sell investments at a loss. You can ride out the storm, you know?
Definitely. And it's also about having a solid withdrawal strategy, right?
Absolutely. Another common mistake I see is people ignoring taxes in their withdrawal strategy. They think, oh, I'll just take out what I need, but they forget about the tax implications.
Right. It could push them into a higher tax bracket, or they might not realize how much they'll owe. I remember talking to a couple, let's call them the Smiths. They retired thinking they could withdraw from their traditional IRA without considering how it would affect their tax situation.
That's right. The Smiths found themselves with a hefty tax bill they hadn't anticipated. It really put a strain on their retirement budget.
So what can they do to avoid that?
Planning is key. They should consider the tax implications of their withdrawals and maybe even consult a tax advisor to strategize. Also think about tax-efficient accounts. Using Roth IRAs can help manage tax exposure in retirement.
That makes sense. And then there's healthcare. It's such a huge factor that people often underestimate.
Yes, and it's a critical one. Many retirees think Medicare will cover all their healthcare costs, but it can leave significant gaps.
I heard about a retiree named Linda who thought she'd be fine with Medicare alone. She ended up facing unexpected medical expenses that really threw her budget off.
Right. Linda didn't factor in things like long-term care or out-of-pocket costs for prescriptions and procedures. It can be a real eye-opener.
So what's the best way to prepare for healthcare expenses?
Well, having a health savings account, HSA, can be really beneficial if you're eligible. And looking into long-term care insurance early can also be a smart move. The earlier you start, the more options you have.
That's good advice. It's also important to consider longevity, isn't it?
Definitely. Many people underestimate how long they might live in retirement. I've seen folks planning for 20 years when they could easily need funds for 30 or more.
That's true. And it's not just about living longer. It's about living well, too.
Exactly. I had a client, let's call her Mary, who planned for a 20-year retirement. She was in great health, but she didn't really account for the possibility of needing care down the line.
What happened with Mary?
Well, she ended up needing some assistance, and it really strained her financial situation. If she had planned for a longer retirement, she might have been in a much better position.
So it's essential to think about not just how long you'll be retired, but also the quality of life you want to maintain.
Yes, and that leads into asset allocation too. Poor asset allocation can really hurt retirees. You need a mix that aligns with your goals and risk tolerance.
Right. I've seen retirees who were too conservative, missing out on potential growth, while others were too aggressive, risking their savings.
I had one couple, the Johnsons. They were very conservative and had most of their money in cash. They thought it was safe, but inflation was eating away at their purchasing power.
That's such a common issue. They might feel secure, but in reality, they're losing ground.
Exactly. The Johnsons realized they needed to adjust their strategy and incorporate some equities into their portfolio to help with growth.
So it sounds like balancing risk is key.
It really is. And another major mistake is claiming Social Security too early. Many people rush into it without fully understanding the long-term consequences.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Some retirees don't realize how much they could lose by claiming early.
Right. I had a client named Bill who claimed at 62, thinking he'd get the money sooner. But he didn't factor in how much he'd lose in benefits over his lifetime.
That's a tough one. So what's the best approach for choosing when to claim?
Well, if you can afford to wait, it's often better to delay claiming until your full retirement age, or even until age 70. The benefits can increase significantly, which can have a lasting impact on your retirement income.
That's great advice. So to wrap this all up, what red flags should people look out for early on?
Good question. I'd say pay attention to your withdrawal strategy, stay proactive about tax implications, and regularly review your healthcare plan and asset allocation.
And don't forget to consider your longevity and Social Security claiming strategy too.
Exactly. Being aware of these factors can help you avoid common pitfalls and set yourself up for a more secure retirement.
So for those listeners who might feel a little overwhelmed, what are some next steps they can take?
Well, start by reviewing your financial plan. Maybe consult with a financial advisor to help you get a clearer picture.
And don't hesitate to ask questions. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your retirement.
Absolutely. Taking small, informed steps can really make a difference in achieving a comfortable retirement.
Great insights, David. Let's keep this momentum going as we transition to the next part of our discussion.
So now that we've unpacked how Social Security credits work, let's talk about some practical steps you can take today to really make sure you're maximizing your benefits.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, it can feel overwhelming, but there are definitely actionable things listeners can do, right?
Absolutely. First off, I'd recommend heading over to ssa.gov. It's the Social Security Administration's official site, and it's full of useful tools. You can create an account there to check your earnings history, which is crucial for understanding your benefits.
That's a solid start. And if someone notices discrepancies in their earnings record, they can address those directly through the site, right?
Exactly. It's really important to catch any errors early on. Now let's talk about tools for planning. Have you heard of retirement calculators from companies like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab?
I have. Those calculators can be super helpful for estimating how much you'll need in retirement, right?
Yes, they can. They allow you to input your current savings, expected retirement age, and even your Social Security benefits to get a clearer picture. It's a great way to visualize your progress.
And what about tax planning tools? I know those can be crucial as well.
Right, using tax software is essential, especially if you're planning to withdraw from retirement accounts. Understanding the tax implications can save you a lot of money in the long run.
That makes sense. So what about habits? Are there small changes people can start making now?
Definitely. A good habit to develop is to review your portfolio at least quarterly. It's a chance to check if you're on track with your retirement goals.
And running retirement projections regularly can be a game changer too, huh?
Yes, take the time to run those projections, maybe even semi-annually. It helps you see how your current savings and investments are aligning with your retirement goals, and if adjustments are needed.
I love that. It feels so empowering to take control of your financial future. What about resources like books or podcasts?
Great point. There are some fantastic books out there, like The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, which offers a straightforward approach to budgeting and saving.
And I imagine there are podcasts focusing on retirement as well?
Absolutely. The Retirement Answer Man is a popular one. It covers a wide range of retirement topics, including Social Security. It's both informative and engaging.
Sounds like a good listen. So it's really about building a toolkit, right?
Exactly. You want to gather as many resources as you can. Also, consider financial planning apps like Personal Capital or YNAB, You Need a Budget. They can help you track your spending and savings in real time.
Those apps make it so easy to stay on top of things. And it's never too late to improve your plan, right?
Exactly. Whether you're 5 years away from retirement or just starting to think about it, you can always make adjustments and improvements.
And small changes can lead to big differences down the line.
Yes, a little effort today can yield significant benefits when you retire. Just remember, the sooner you start, the better.
So those are some practical first steps. There's really a lot you can do to strengthen your retirement plan. With those tools in your pocket, you're ready to take charge of your future.
Well, Emily, as we wrap things up, I think it's important to highlight a few key takeaways from our discussion about Social Security credits.
Absolutely, David. One major point is that understanding how many credits you need to qualify for benefits is crucial. Most people need 40 credits, right?
Exactly. And it's also worth noting that you earn 1 credit for every quarter you work. So if you're working consistently, you can accumulate those credits pretty quickly.
Right. And that leads us to the idea that your earnings impact your benefit amount. The more you earn, the higher your benefits could be when you retire.
Yes, and let's not forget that your benefits can be affected by when you decide to claim them. Waiting until full retirement age or even later can really boost those monthly payments.
That's such an important strategy. Timing can really make a difference in your retirement income.
And speaking of strategies, it's all about building and protecting your retirement wealth, right? Planning now gives you the peace of mind to enjoy those golden years.
Exactly. It's never too early or too late to start thinking about your future.
For those listening, if you found something valuable today, we'd love for you to like and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to comment with your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have.
Yes, sharing this podcast with someone who's planning for retirement or already in it can really make a difference. It's all about community and support.
And next time, we'll dive into a topic that a lot of folks are curious about: how to transition from work to early retirement.
That's going to be a great conversation. We'll explore practical steps and emotional considerations.
So until then, take care and keep building that retirement wealth.
Bye for now, everyone.